Every weekday morning, Amir wove his way through the crowded platform, the familiar hiss of arriving trains mingling with the electric buzz of commuters. He expected nothing more than the routine squeeze into a packed carriage, the gentle sway of the carriage as it peeled away from the station. But that day, just beyond the glare of fluorescent lights, something extraordinary caught its eye. A dog, calm, composed, and perched as patiently as any commuter, waiting for the subway. At first, Amir wondered if this golden brown creature belonged to someone lost in the throng, tethered to an outer-frame owner. Yet, as the train doors slid open with a pneumatic sigh, the dog leapt aboard unprompted, padding quietly down the aisle without a leash or escort. Was this a stray brave enough to board the train on its own, or a secret passenger with a purpose? Amir's pulse quickened. He had to know more. As the train doors whispered shut, Amir surged forward, but the carriage lurched into motion. Realizing he couldn't just chase after this lone traveller, he reluctantly stepped off in his stop and melted into the morning crowd. He tried to dismiss the vision of that unlikely rider, attributing it to an overactive imagination. Maybe the dog was simply searching for scraps or following the scent of leftover sandwiches from yesterday's ride. After all, stray dogs sometimes roam stations looking for easy pickings. But no matter how he forced his mind back to work deadlines and traffic reports, the image of that dog, sitting alert and solitary, refused to fade. What motive would bring a dog onto a subway train every morning? The next day, or perhaps it was the day after that? Amir lost track under the weight of his busy routine. He found himself once again standing in the same station, heart thumping with eagerness. Emerging from the stairwell, he scanned the platform, and there it was. The same brown dog, coat a little dusty, but bearing the same calm posture among the commuters. As the morning light slanted across the tiles, the dog hopped onto the train as though he owned the place. That simple act tugged at something inside Amir. Was this a stray liberated by wanderlust, or was there a hidden plan behind each calculated step? Questions swirled like steam from a hot coffee, propelling Amir to wonder what mysteries lay within those soft, bright eyes. In the following days, Amir watched the pattern repeat itself, each morning an echo of the last. But one chilly dawn, a group of impatient passengers shoved the dog roughly off the train, yanking him away from the warmth of the carriage. His landing was a jarring thud against the cold concrete. Startled, he spun in tight circles, nose low, searching the edges of the platform. People streamed past him, indifferent to the frightened creature circling under the harsh glare of station lights. From the train window, Amir's heart clenched. He pounded on the glass in protest, but was powerless to stop the doors sliding closed. As metal rails hummed beneath him, he vowed silently that whoever this dog was, he would not abandon him to the shadows of the station. But to do something, he first had to find him again. The following morning, determination tempered his curiosity. He carried a bag of fragrant dog kibble, the pellets crackling softly under his arm. As the familiar rumble of the arriving train swept through the platform, he knelt by the railing and called out softly, "Here, boy!" Moments later, the dust-covered dog appeared, brown fur mottled with the grime of city streets. At the sight of the kibble, his tail flicked once, twice, then swept back and forth in jubilant arcs. His large eyes gleamed with trust as he crunched gratefully on the treats. Relief washed over Amir. He had made a friend, but this encounter only deepened his sense that this dog's life was more complex than a stray's daily struggle. What adventures led him here each dawn? That very afternoon, a call crackled through Amir's pocket. His car, languishing in the workshop since yesterday, was finally repaired and awaiting collection. The voice on the line expected the familiar. Amir regaining his personal freedom on four wheels. Instead, Amir felt an odd tug in his chest. Could he leave all this behind when this dog needed him still? With surprising conviction, he whispered into the phone, "I'll come later," and slipped the phone back into his pocket. The engine of his car could wait, but this dog's secret could not. Each morning held the promise of revelation, and Amir sensed that the true journey had only just begun. That evening, armed with curiosity and concern, Amir made the call to local animal control. His voice trembled as he explained the sight of a lone dog commandeering a subway. A kindly official directed him to the nearest animal shelter, assuring him that they took in strays and reunited lost pets with their families. Early next morning, Amir escorted the dog, whom he'd started calling the subway dog, to the shelter staff. The rescuers listened, bemused by his tale. Their initial instinct was simple: catch him, check for a microtip, and find him a new home. But as they discussed the dog's daily odyssey, a flicker of doubt arose. How could a shelter know where he came from each dawn or where he returned each dusk? Something told them that catching him in a kennel would only silence a story that demanded to be heard. After a brief conference, the shelter team settled on a bold plan: attach a GPS tracker to the dog and observe his movements. Gaining his trust took patience. Booth officers coaxed him with gentle words and kibble until they could slip a light, snug collar around his neck. Amir crouched beside him, whispering reassurance as the tracker snapped in place, its sleek black casing humming with dormant potential. Then they stepped back and waited. Would the data unravel the mystery of this fearless traveller, or might it only deepen the questions? When the tracker signal pinged on the shelter's mat screen, jaws dropped. Over the previous 24 hours, the dog had travelled nearly 30 kilometres through the labyrinth of Istanbul streets, weaving between neighbourhoods like a silent thread sewing the city together. Every morning, he seemed to map an intricate loop, up through one line, across the Bosphorus on a ferry, down another rail, only to return to the very same platform by evening. The staff exchanged incredulous glances. Who was this dog that treated public transport like a daily tour? And why did he choose this precise loop day after day? Unable to contain their fascination, a shelter volunteer decided to shadow the dog in person. Discreetly following at a respectful distance, he watched as commuters paused to snap photographs of a lone dog boarding a ferry. They noted how he positioned himself depending on the weather, on a bench outside the station kiosk when the sun warmed the pavement, or sheltering inside under awnings when raindrops spattered. He paused for no one, yet paused for everyone. Stepping aside to let a hurried passenger exit, then sliding into the carriage only once it had emptied. It was as though he held a diploma in subway etiquette and a master's in ferry navigation. How had a stray animal mastered the arcane rules of human transit so flawlessly? Delving deeper into the tracker's records, the staff uncovered more startling facts. The dog's name was Boji, a playful nod to bogey, the Turkish term for the bogey wheels that roll beneath train carriages. He was a mix of Chivish King Shepherd and Sheepdog, his genetics whispering of working lines and loyal hearts. A thorough veterinary exam revealed he'd been sterilised, vaccinated, and in surprisingly good health. Clear signs of prior ownership. Yet no owner came forward. Boji belonged to someone, or perhaps everyone, but lived freely on the streets, guided by an invisible compass. Could this dog's true home be the city itself? Word of Boji's travels spread beyond the shelter's walls, carried on the digital winds of social media. Commuters began to post selfies tagging #Boji the subway dog, marvelling at a sight they knew by half but had never imagined: a stray turned celebrated passenger. Before long, Boji boasted his own Instagram and Twitter accounts, amassing thousands of followers who tracked his morning appearances as eagerly as any celebrity's red carpet stroll. Photos captured him gazing out train windows, nose pressed dignified against glass, as the skyline blurred behind him. How could a humble stray harness the power of digital fandom so effortlessly? Among the fascinated was Chris McGrath, a Getty Images photographer who spotted Boji's story trending on Twitter. Intrigued, Chris booked a plane ticket to Istanbul and shadowed Boji for a day, camera in hand. He watched Boji choose the correct ferry to Prince's Island, slipping under turnstiles with practiced ease, hopping aboard the vessel bound for Buicada. When the boat rocked gently on the waves, Boji hunkered down near the engine's hum, basking in the tremors. On the deck, he faced the sun-drenched horizon with a contented bark. Chris captured frame after frame, a dog at ease in a world of steel and water, intuitively knowing exactly where to go. What secret guidance lay behind those bright, determined eyes? Back in the city, Metro Istanbul officials scratched their heads in wonder. Errol, head of customer relations, admitted he'd never seen anything like it. A dog who knew his schedule, his lines, and even his engine compartments. They marvelled at Boji's preference for the bogey area, sitting just above the wheels, feeling every vibration as if it were music. His name, it turned out, was more than a nickname. It was his calling card, a living homage to the hidden mechanisms that propelled each train forward. How many creatures in this bustling metropolis stopped to notice the hidden poetry of the city's undercarriage? But beneath the marvel lay a practical question. How did Boji survive as a stray in a city of millions? Istanbul, known affectionately as Kedi and Kopakistan, land of cats and dogs, supports its strays with municipal feeding stations, sterilization programs, and rapid response care. Bowls of water and kibble quietly tucked behind cafe benches sustain generations of four-legged wanderers. Boji, it seemed, had memorized each cash point, weaving them into his daily route like a living scavenger hunt. Shelter volunteers revealed that stray cats and dogs here enjoyed far safer lives than in most metropolises. Could a city ever treat its most vulnerable inhabitants with greater humanity than this ancient crossroads of civilizations? To ensure Boji's well-being, municipal veterinarians provided regular health checkups and a brief behavioural assessment. Think of it as a canine boot camp. They groomed his coat, administered vaccines, and adjusted his collar so the tracker would never slip. After a week of close monitoring, they pronounced him healthy, well-socialised, and unharmed by his extraordinary lifestyle. As a final gesture, they built a small kennel at one subway station, Boji's unofficial headquarters, where commuters could greet him or offer a snack without disrupting his routine. Was this the perfect compromise between freedom and safety for Istanbul's four-legged ambassador? Today, Boji remains a symbol of Istanbul's warmth, resilience, and knack for surprises. With over 79,000 followers across social platforms, he continues to ride subways, trains, and ferries. An ambassador of goodwill on four paws. Commuters spot him and break into smiles. Tourists chase him for photographs. Locals leave bowls of treats in corners he's already mapped. His story reminds us that home can be more than walls and doors. It can be the open tracks of possibility. And as the lights at the next station blink into view, one can't help but wonder, where will Boji's paws carry him tomorrow?